We have a very interesting, indeed a very fascinating politician in Kenya called Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Judging by his actions in recent weeks, Bwana Kalonzo Musyoka does not believe what we believe in this channel. In other words, he does not read politics the way we read it on this channel. Now I just get absolutely amazed because Kalonzo Musyoka should be in fact, he's a very experienced politician. I mean, when he started in politics, I was still in school. So surely all those years, he should now be very experienced and able to make the right call at the right time. But maybe he wasn't meant to be a politician. Anyway, this is what Kalonzo Musyoka has done. He has played the classic Kenyan card of going back to his community. To be fair to Kalonzo Musyoka, the other principals like Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi have done exactly the same. They have gone back to their communities. We're all aware that Wetangula and Musalia want to form a unified party of the Luhya community. Now every time I say this, I just feel sick, but I have to say it to explain what I'm saying. Yeah, they're forming a Luhya unified party in readiness for 2022. Yuck. And so Kalonzo Musyoka has done the same. He called a huge tribal meeting over the weekend, at Komarock. And the community gave him a go-ahead to go for the presidency in 2022. I really have a problem with that. And you guys know why. Yeah, mentioning 2022, when we are not even through with 2018, to me is just ridiculous. Anyway, now what Kalonzo Musyoka has done that the other principals have not done is that he has organized to get the green light to negotiate with Uhuru. In other words, to do what Raila did with Uhuru, the handshake. So he also wants a handshake between himself and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, the first question I'd ask is, what would the president have to gain by shaking hands with Kalonzo Musyoka? Because I don't see. Maybe somebody can educate me on that. Because I see absolutely zero that he has to gain by shaking Uhuru's hands. By making a deal. A deal for what? Now, I'm reminded of the 2007 elections and what my political lecturer said. We were seated somewhere with the political lecturer. Then this politician came along and started bragging about how the Kamba community is going for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. This was 2007. And of course, the flag bearer for the community at that time was still one Kalonzo Musyoka. Now, I sat there fascinated. And I was not fascinated because of what this Kamba politician was saying. I was fascinated because I was observing what my political lecturer was doing. Now, he had a very interesting habit. When he got very irritated or very agitated, he would brush his hair backwards. Yeah, he would run his hand through his head as if to brush his hair backwards. But of course, at that age, he didn't have much hair. In fact, he was religiously clean-shaven. Yeah, a habit, I think, from his days in the police force. So, I watched him as he kept on doing this, and I could see he was very agitated. Now, he was agitated because what he was listening to was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, when you'd listen to something that he found absurd, this is also something he did. And so when this politician finished his ranting, and about how they had a strategy and about how they would win the election, my political lecturer asked him two simple questions. Question one, how many people belong to the Kamba community? What is the population of the Kamba community? Now, what made this discussion even more hilarious, this so-called politician, and he was quite a prominent politician, had no idea. His response, the Kamba community are very many. You go to Mombasa, there are Kambas. You go to Lunga, there are Kambas. There are so many Kambas all over the country. They can influence everybody right across the country. My political lecturer brushed his hand across his head 3 or 4 times in quick succession. And then he gave the man the exact number of the Kamba community according to the census as of that time. Yeah, and I remember the figure was 1 point something million. And then he quietly told this politician that is not enough to get Kalonzo to State House. Now, I believe I have a right to say what I'm about to say, and I also believe I'm qualified to say what I'm about to say. Okay? Now, every once in a while, the Kamba community is attacked by a certain demon that sends the entire community into a deep fantasy. You know, a demon of desire can attack a man, and then the man goes into a fantasy and starts actually believing that the most beautiful girl in the village is in love with him, and he has not even spoken to her even once. For somebody to believe that the community can capture the presidency, backed by their numbers, is a fantasy. For somebody to believe that the community is influential enough so that they can go into a kind of coalition, with other communities and get enough numbers to win the presidency is a fantasy. And half of me belongs to the Kamba community. One of my parents belongs to the Kamba community. So I'm not talking here against the community because I belong to it. If I was an outsider, then somebody can challenge me and say, hey, Bwana, you're attacking the Kamba community. I'm not. I'm just speaking the truth. Informed truth. Let us not even go into the political career of one Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Let's not even go there. Because, the meetings in Komarock over the weekend, sanctioned Bwana Musyoka as the leader of the community and their presidential flag bearer. Now, it seems these tribal demons are very powerful because there's one other character who was at Komarock, a man called Johnston Muthama. Now, you'll remember in the run-up to the August elections last year, Bwana Muthama and Kalonzo Musyoka fell out. And they fell out because Bwana Muthama sponsored a candidate of his own, groomed him over a long period of time, spent a fortune on that candidate. And then at the last minute, his party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, sprang up his own favored candidate to represent Wiper to go for the governorship of Machakos. And of course, Kalonzo Musyoka's candidate was Wavinya Ndeti. And Bwana Muthama even told us that he wanted to leave Wiper and that what he needed was his property. He needed to be paid because Bwana Muthama has been the major financier of the Wiper party. You remember all that? And in fact, Bwana Muthama was a diehard supporter of Raila Odinga. And he spoke at various meetings right across the country, professing his full support for Raila Odinga. And so, I was one of the people who was very shocked when on January 30th, there was no sign of Muthama at Uhuru Park. During the swearing-in of Raila Odinga. Muthama was nowhere to be seen. Shortly after the swearing-in, Muthama came out and said, yes, he was part of the committee arranging for the swearing-in, but he had no intentions right from the beginning of ever showing up at Uhuru Park. And he supported Kalonzo Musyoka for not showing up at Uhuru Park. And now Muthama is fully backing Wiper in the effort to gun for the presidency in 2022. I'm telling you that meeting at the weekend of the Kamba community was absolutely fascinating. And in many ways hilarious. At the meeting, Kalonzo Musyoka blamed Raila for not doing enough, or rather for not doing anything to stop people calling him watermelon. In other words, what Kalonzo Musyoka was saying is that he wanted Raila Odinga to come out and tell people, and tell them off, tell them stop calling Kalonzo Musyoka watermelon. This is very funny. Anyway, I could be wrong. And maybe this strategy of Kalonzo Musyoka of same old, might take him somewhere. It may take him all the way to State House. Anyway, let's wait and see. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.